Welcome to the news this week on Spectrum Television, a recap of all major stories within the week. I am Uyai Anyekan, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran in Akwa Ibom State. A very happy new year to you. Let's take a look at the headlines. Parents of Chibok girls write to President Muhammadu Buhari, asked him to bring back daughters before tenure ends. President Buhari tells Nigerians to resist attempts by politicians to disrupt elections. Plus, blast hits 2 Kref districts minutes into the new year. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Thanks for joining us. First in our news today is a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has charged Nigerians to resist attempts by politicians to disrupt the 2023 general elections. In his New Year message, the president also urged the citizens to play their part in ensuring that this year's general elections are free, fair, and credible. He warned that his government would ensure that activities intended to disrupt the polls are met with the full force of the law. Restating his administration's commitment to conduct free and fair elections, President Buhari said the collective electoral will and vote of Nigerians will be fulfilled even in the twilight moments of his watch. According to the Nigerian leader, his government proved its commitment to the nation's democratic ideals by signing the amended Electoral Act that will guarantee credible elections. In the meantime, as President Muhammadu Buhari enters the last year of his second term in office today, he has again told Nigerians that he tried his best to serve the country as president. He stated this in his New Year message, which he used to sum up achievements of his administration in the last 7.5 years, and to also highlight action plans for the remainder of his time in office. The president welcomed both accolades and criticisms of his performance by all people. He said he was mindful of the various thoughts and opinions of people about his administration's legacies, while rolling out plans to be executed in the remaining 5 months of his administration. Away from that, President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with Pope Francis, the Catholic Church in Nigeria and around the world, as well as all Christian faithful, mourning the passing of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI. In a statement by his media aide Femi Adesina in Abuja, President Buhari paid tribute to Benedict XVI, whom he said was admired globally for his selfless leadership and renowned learning as a theologian. He also lauded the deceased for his dedication to advance interfaith dialogue and peace. According to press, he had used the benevolent gifts of the Almighty upon his life to serve the church and humanity in humility, reverence, and piety, living in word and deed the virtues of a true Christian disciple. The The president prayed that the Pope Emeritus received eternal embrace in the loving arms of the Lord, whom he served faithfully throughout his vacation. In a related development, the Vatican has said Pope Francis will celebrate the funeral mass for Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI in St. Peter's Square on Thursday, January 5, 2023. According to the Vatican, it would be an unprecedented event in which a current pope would celebrate the funeral for a former one. Francis was elected after Benedict XVI resigned in 2013. Benedict XVI was the first pope to resign in 600 years, and his lasting mark on papacy would be his resignation. Meanwhile, world leaders have continued to mourn him. In a separate development, President Muhammadu Buhari will sign the 2023 appropriation bill on Tuesday, January 3, 2023. Senate President Ahmed Lawan confirmed this on Friday after a visit to the president in his office. Lawan told State House correspondents he had briefed the Nigerian leader on the passage of the appropriation bill, the 2022 supplementary appropriation bill, and the finance bill, as well as the general elections, among other issues of national interest. He noted that while the National Assembly looked forward to the presidential assent on the first workday of the new year, the delay in the passage of the bill was due to some anomalies in the figures presented to the lawmakers. In the last 4 years, this would be the first appropriation bill to be assented to by the president after the new year. Meanwhile, it was a busy week for the federal legislators, as last Wednesday saw the passage of some major bills and excise and fiscal laws. Similarly, the National Assembly passed the 2023 appropriation bill at 21.8 trillion naira, showing an increase of 1.3 trillion naira from the 20.5 trillion naira budget proposal of President Muhammadu Buhari. Same Wednesday, the Senate had passed the 2022 supplementary budget of 819.5 billion naira. The supplementary budget, which will be funded by additional borrowing and increase the deficit to 8.17 trillion naira, is to address food security following floods across the country, as well as damages to road infrastructure and water sector. Also, the Senate extended the implementation of the 2022 capital budget till March 31st, 2023. The Senate, however, suspended its Standing Order 70 to enable it to read the bill for the first, second, and third time before its passage. Elsewhere, President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday heaped praises on the newly promoted commander, Brigel. The president, assisted by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, and the wife of the commander, Rekia Usman, decorated the officer with the rank of Major General. Speaking after the ceremony in the presidential villa, the president recalled his military career marked with coups, counter-coups, and detention, describing General Usman as a very lucky officer to have risen to the height of his military career with distinction and without hiccups. He commended General Usman for his diligence, loyalty, patience, and hard work. On security, parents of the remaining abducted Chibok girls are calling on President Muhammadu Buhari to bring back their daughters before leaving office in May 2023. It could be recalled that on the night of April 14 to 15, 2014, 276 female students aged from 16 to 18 were kidnapped by Boko Haram from the government girls' secondary school at Chibok Town, Borno State. At least scores of the girls are still in the custody of the religious bigots and have not been found 8 years after. In a letter to the president, the parents lamented that many of the captured girls by Boko Haram have not still been released till now. According to the letter titled, "Bring Back Our Daughters Before You Leave Office," The parents recalled that President Buhari had promised to rescue all the girls as he took over power in 2015. They said as the new year marked hope and redemption, it was their sincere hope and prayer that Nigeria be lifted out of its current challenges. Still on security, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, is appealing to parents to encourage their children and wards to pursue careers as police operatives in the country. Baba stated this during the passing out parade of 374 newly recruited constables at the Police Training College, Onyi Akoko, Northwest Local Government of Ondo State. According to the IGP, the Nigeria Police Force is one of the most reliable platforms for advancing the cause of national service. The IGP, who was represented by the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 17 Akure, Yunus Akira, said with youths taking an interest in the country's police force, it would sustain the common vision for an efficient policing system, while emphasizing that the police force had zero tolerance for indiscipline. Baba advised the new constables not to engage in acts capable of soiling their names and the profession. On the lawyer who was allegedly slain by a killer cop on Christmas Day, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, Thursday reiterated that justice will be served in the murder of Bolanle Rahim. He made the pledge while receiving Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu at the force headquarters in Abuja. Baba also assured Nigerians that there will be transparency in the handling of the case, adding that the culprit will be dealt with in line with the law. Also on Thursday, the Police Service Commission approved the suspension of the Assistant Superintendent of Police, Drambi Vandi, over Rahim's killing. In a statement, the Commission spokesman Ike Chukwani said the suspension of the cop was with immediate effect. In the meantime, the chairman of Etiosa East Local Council Development Area, John Campos, Wednesday directed the naming of a street in the area after the slain 41-year-old lawyer, Bolanle Rahim. Campos made this known during a visit to the family of the deceased lawyer. While speaking to the sympathizers, the husband of the deceased lawyer, Benga Rahim, appealed for calm, saying nothing could bring back his wife. Recall that the late Rahim was allegedly shot by a cop on Christmas Day while trying to make a U-turn at the Ajah Bridge. In education, within the week under review, the Minister of Education, Adamu, set the National Business and Technical Examinations Board General Certificate of Education Advanced Level results for 2015 to 2021 were valid. The minister noted that the results were not only valid but also usable for admission into tertiary institutions. This information is contained in the official bulletin of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, where JAM reminded all institutions that the results were usable for admission. According to the information, candidates who had used the NAPTEP GCE A-level results of 2015 to 2021 to secure admission to higher institutions of learning. Still in education, the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, says the improved road infrastructure in public universities has technically enhanced students' desire to learn. He stated this during the inauguration and handover of some rehabilitated roads in Alex Ekweme Federal University, Ebonyi State, and Yaba College of Technology, Lagos. The minister said no fewer than 83 federal tertiary institutions across the country had benefited from road projects initiated by the ministry. Fashola was represented at the event by the Federal Controller of Works Ebonyi State, Steve Oluwandum, and the Controller of Works in Lagos State, Umar Bakare. He explained that the intervention work aimed at improving the quality of education was gradually bridging the gap of infrastructural needs in tertiary institutions. inadvertent in the last 12 years. This is according to a document on the Nigerian Content Intervention Fund presented by the General Manager of Nigerian Content Development Fund and Treasury Management, an arm of the Nigerian Content and Development Monitoring Board, Obinna Ofili. Ofili said the fund was established for purposes of implementing the development of indigenous companies in the country's oil and gas industry. He said 70% of the fund went into commercial intervention applied to supporting commercial activities in the oil and gas industry, working capital, project and contract execution, asset acquisition, loan refinancing, special project vehicles, specialized projects, and equity investment. Ofili noted that the remaining 30% was invested into capacity building expenditure. In politics, the House of Representatives Speaker Flyimg has encouraged Nigerians to vote for detribalized leaders who have a deep connection with the grassroots. The Speaker identified the most effective means of assessing the dividends of democracy as voting for leaders who are identified with the people on the street, even when they are in and out of power. Bajabiamila, who was addressing residents of Itire, Ikete aid access at a time of need without fear of being denied by official protocols. Still in politics, Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says 1 year imprisonment or a fine of 500,000 naira awaits anyone found guilty of buying votes during the 2023 elections. The INEC Commissioner in Jigawa State, Professor Mohammed Bashir, gave the warning on Monday in an interview with newsmen. The Commissioner said the electoral umpire was prepared to conduct all the elections with the BVA's machine to ensure free and fair polls. He said the machine would identify voters, while those who have registered more than once will not be able to vote. Professor Mohammed said the Commission had received over 156 permanent voter cards, PVCs, which are still under distribution until the 22nd of January 2023. In another development, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has filed a lawsuit against the oil-producing state in Nigeria. SERAP is suing the state over their alleged failure to account for the spending of the oil derivation refunds of 625 billion naira recently paid to them by the federal government, including details and locations of projects executed with the money. Recall that the federal government had recently paid 625.43 billion naira oil derivation funds to the governors of Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Delta, Edo, Rivers, Ondo, Imo, and Cross River states. The payments cover 13% oil derivation, subsidy, COVID, and SHOREB refunds, with refunds dated back from 1999 to 2021. In the suit filed last Friday at the Federal High Court, Abuja, SERAP is asking the court to direct and compel the governors to disclose and widely publish the details of spending of the oil derivation refunds, subsidy, and SHORE-P refunds. In a separate development, the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association has charged the federal government to unravel the scams surrounding fuel subsidy and make a pronouncement on a definitive plan to remove it. The Director General of the association, Adewale Smart Oyerinde, stated this while across the country when the government claimed to have paid trillions in petrol subsidy. The DG noted that 2022 remained one of the most challenging years for the organized private sector, adding that the pandemic-inflicted leadership and sustainability challenges forced organizations to take extraordinary measures in real time with zero planning. In Lagos, the state government says the proposed construction of the 4th mainland bridge project will be completed in 2027. The special advisor to the governor on public-private partnerships, Okpe George, and his counterpart in the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, Aramide Adeoye, stated this during a press briefing in Alausa, Ikeja, Lagos State on Friday. They said the official flag off for the construction of the project will be presided over by the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in the first quarter of 2023. The special advisor said the bridge, when completed, would become the second longest in Africa, with 3 toll plazas, 9 interchanges, a 4.5-kilometer lagoon bridge, and an eco-friendly environment. Back here, Kwabem People 2022. After 2 previous New Year crossovers under the cloud of COVID-19 restrictions, the people tripped out en masse to places of worship where they spent the first moment of 2023 with loved ones and fellow worshippers. This is as anticipation remains high for 2023 in the country, with general elections scheduled to take place in February and March. Still to come in the news. Ship insurers to cancel war cover from today. Do stay with us.
Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
We bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian. Education, health,
lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyekan
every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
The only one allowed by Muslims. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiary?
Murder of Hebrew. He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leaving the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding you, not shaking.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in court.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. Moving now to Africa, where the European Union has urged Rwanda to stop supporting the M23 rebel group, which has captured swaths of territory and repeatedly accused its smaller Central African neighbor, Rwanda, of backing the M23, although Kigali denies the charge. The Tutsi rebel group has in recent months advanced to within a few dozen kilometers of provincial capital Goma. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell said the European bloc had urged Rwanda to use all means to press the M23 to comply with the decisions taken by the East African Community and at a November summit in Angola. Borrell said the bloc also firmly urges all states of the region to prevent the provision of any support to armed groups active in the DR Congo. He called on Kinshasa to take all measures necessary to protect the civilian population in its territory. On the foreign scene, Colombia's government has agreed to a 6-month ceasefire with the 5 largest armed groups operating in the country. President Gustavo Petro announced this on New Year's Eve. The truce was the main objective of Petro's total peace policy, which aims to end the country's armed conflict. The conflict has reportedly persisted despite the dissolution of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia in 2017. According to an independent think tank, the Institute for Development and Peace Studies, the armed groups' revenues and other illegal businesses. Still on the foreign scene, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is set to be inaugurated today for a 3rd term as Brazilian president. The ceremony has reportedly been snubbed by outgoing leader Jair Bolsonaro, underlining the deep divisions the veteran leftist inherits. The swearing-in will cap a remarkable political comeback for 77-year-old Lula, who returns to the presidential palace in Brasilia less than 5 years after being jailed on controversial since quashed corruption charges. In a sign of the scars that remain from Lula's brutal election showdown with far-right ex-army captain Bolsonaro in October, security will be exceptionally tight at the Palm Field ceremony in the capital. Elsewhere, Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko says the first blast of the new year began roughly 30 minutes after midnight. He said fragments from a missile destroyed by Ukrainian air defense systems had damaged a car in the capital's center. Kiev City Military Administration said 23 Russian-launched air objects had been destroyed. In a related development, United States Ambassador to Ukraine, Bridget Brink, has condemned Russian attacks on Ukraine in the early hours of today as cowardly. Brink said the cold attacks were unnecessary. She, however, said Russia's Vladimir Putin was yet to realize that the Ukrainians were made of iron. In a separate development, China's defense ministry has accused the United States of violating international law and splaying over the contested waters of the South China Sea. The statement late yesterday came days after the U.S. military claimed that a Chinese Jet 11 fighter jet had come within 6 meters of a U.S. RC-135 aircraft on December 21st, forcing the latter to take evasive maneuvers to avoid a collision. However, a spokesperson for China's defense ministry, Tian Jilin, said the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command had distorted facts about the incident and that it was the U.S. aircraft that had engaged in dangerous maneuvers against the Chinese jet. Tian said the U.S. aircraft was conducting intentional close-in reconnaissance on China's southern coastline when the People's Liberation Army sent fighter jets to track and monitor the plane. Away from that, North Korea today fired one short-range ballistic missile into the sea. The South Korean military reported the development as Pyongyang pressed on with last year's record-breaking blaze of launches. The New Year's Day firing reported by the Yonhap news agency was the second in as many days. The Joint Chiefs of Staff said the firing came from the Yongseong area of the capital of Pyongyang and landed in the East Sea, also known as the Sea of Japan. Military tensions on the Korean peninsula rose sharply in 2022 as the North conducted sanctions-busting weapons tests nearly every month, including firing its most advanced intercontinental ballistic missile ever. Yesterday, Seoul's military said the North had fired 3 short-range ballistic missiles a day after South Korea successfully tested a solid fuel space launch vehicle. Elsewhere, Sweden has taken over from the Czech Republic at the helm of the 6-month rotating presidency of the Council of the European Union. Presenting the priorities of Swedish presidency in a speech in the Riksdag, Prime Minister Kristersson said it will drive forward the Council's work on EU legislation. Kristersson added that the presidency will ensure continuity of the EU agenda and ensure that legislative processes are carried out in an orderly manner and that member states cooperate. President Xi Jinping of China today exchanged congratulatory messages with Antigua and Barbuda's Governor General Rodney Williams on the 40th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Xi said Antigua and Barbuda was China's important partner in the Caribbean region and that the relations between the two countries had developed smoothly with time-honored mutual trust and productive cooperation over the past 40 years. The Chinese leader added that since the pandemic began, the two countries had rendered each other valuable support and helped each other through difficulties, opening a new chapter for China, Antigua and Barbuda relationship. In the Philippines, death toll from floods and landslides has climbed to 49. This is according to figures by the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council. The council added that 16 people were injured while 22 remain missing. On our business news, at least 6,047 bank verification numbers of bank customers have been placed on the Central Bank of Nigeria's watch list for fraudulent transactions. This was contained in the CBN Financial Stability June 2022 report published in December 2022. The report also notes the report disclosed that the Apex Bank conducted an assessment of 28 banks and the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System to ascertain compliance with the regulatory framework for BVN operations and watch list for the Nigerian banking industry in the review period. Still in business, the Chief Operating Officer of Lekki Port Enterprise Limited, Lawrence Smith, says talks have been opened with potential operators of the liquid berth terminals. Smith, who stated this in Lagos, noted that the port will commence commercial operations in the first quarter of 2023. He said the terminal operator, Lekki Freeport Terminal, was putting everything in place to give a world-class port experience and that all the relevant agencies have been sensitized to undertake their roles in the new port. The Deputy Chief Operating Officer of Lekki Port, Daniel Odibe, said the Lagos State government had commenced work on the construction of access roads leading to the port. Ukraine and Belarus following an exit from the region by reinsurers in the face of steep losses. Rain insurers who insure the insurers typically renew their 12-month contracts with insurance clients today. This gives them the first opportunity to scale back exposure since the war in Ukraine started, after being hit this year by losses related to the conflict and from Hurricane Ian in Florida. Protection and Indemnity, P&I clubs, American, North, UK and West said they were no longer able to offer war risk cover for liabilities in the region. The clubs are among the biggest P&I insurers, who cover around 90% of the world's ocean-going ships. For under 20 AFCON, do stay with us.
When it comes to football, the passion is unrivaled and the heat never stops. Be a part of the unending action on Battle of the Fans. With expert analysis, previews and reviews of the biggest games in the biggest leagues, as well as football fan banter that never goes out of style.
To delay the progress of the league, it means you're not capable. They have done their job.
Yeah, only on Spectrum Television.
It is Cristiano Ronaldo!
Exclusive to Spectrum TV.
This week, the health sector, the Federal Capital Territory Administration, had within the week tightened its disease surveillance system to minimize its impact on the territory, following reported cases of the resurgence of Ebola and other communicable diseases. The director of the FCT Public Health Department, Dr. Sadiq Abdul Rahman, made this known while briefing the media in Abuja on the readiness and response of the FCTA health sector. He said staff of the Epidemiological Division of the Public Health Department had been placed on red alert under the supervision of the FCT Health and Human Services Secretariat. Still in health, it has emerged that Nigeria's low level of revenue threatens fiscal sustainability and undermines the This is according to the Nigeria Country Economic Memorandum report released by the World Bank in December. The Global Bank report noted that public spending on education and health prevented Nigeria from developing the human capital needed for large-scale private investment outside the oil sector. The Global Bank declared that Nigeria's revenue were among the lowest globally. In sports, the Flying Eagles will storm Morocco or Spain for a training tour at the end of this month. According to camp reports, Ladan Boso's side will train in either North Africa for the 2023 Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations. The seven-time African champions will resume camping ahead of the competition on January 7, 2023. Boso had already extended invitations to a number of foreign-based players who are expected to link up with their teammates in Abuja when the camp reopens. The Flying Eagles are drawn in Group A along with the host Egypt, Mozambique and Senegal for the Under-20 AFCON. They will face Senegal in their opening fixture of the competition at the Cairo International Stadium on Friday, the 19th of February 2023. Still in sports, Manchester City's boss Pep Guardiola has bemoaned the loss of 2 points but has no complaints about Everton's approach. This comes after the Merseyside snatched an unexpected 1-1 draw at the Etihad Stadium. The Marai Grey cancelled out an Erling Haaland strike with a stunning equalizer in a feisty Premier League clash yesterday, with Arsenal beating Brighton 4-2 later to establish a 7-point cushion at the summit. Mikel Arteta's side faced Newcastle on Tuesday at the Emirates Stadium, which means they could be 10 points clear by the time City visits Chelsea next Thursday at Stamford Bridge. Away from that, Brazil football legend Pele's wake will be held tomorrow, to be followed on Tuesday by what is expected to be a massive funeral procession through the southeastern city, then a private burial ceremony. Pele died last Thursday at the age of 82 after fighting a colon cancer health challenge. The developments triggered an outpour of condolences, with President Muhammadu Buhari joining the list of world leaders and footballers to mourn the legend. Premier League and English Football League clubs resolved to wear black armbands and hold a minute's applause to honor Pele. Also, football's world governing body, FIFA, lowered flags at its headquarters in Switzerland to half-mast for the late player as a symbol of mourning and respect. On our entertainment news, Nigerian model Precious Okoye has emerged winner of Miss Africa 2022 beauty pageant held in Calabar, Cross River State. Precious took the crown last Tuesday ahead of Poliano Motisi from Lesotho, who emerged first runner-up, and Tina Hembala from Namibia, who was second runner-up. The event had more than 20 contestants and many dignitaries across Africa and beyond. Precious's victory at Miss Africa Calabar makes her the first Nigerian to wear the crown. In her remarks, Precious expressed overwhelming gratitude to everyone, supporters, her family, fellow contestants and organizers for playing a vital role in making her dreams come true. Still in entertainment, Nigerian actor and model Alex Ekuba has reacted to his ex-fiancée Fancy Acholunu's apology. This is coming over a year after she called off their wedding 3 months before the scheduled date. The Nigerian-American model and actress had on Thursday publicly apologized to Alex Ekuba and his family on her social media handle, while admitting that she hurt the actor and her family, how she handled their breakup in 2021. Fancy further revealed how hard it had been for her to lose Alex. Taking to her comment section to acknowledge the post, Alex appreciated the apology and prayed for her. And finally, Grammy-winning singer Anita Pointer has died at the age of 74 following a battle with cancer. Her publicist announced the singer's death. One of the founding members of R&B group, the Pointer Sisters, she delighted fans across the world with hits including I Am So Excited, Jump and Fire, along with sisters June and Ruth. The group from Oakland, California, released their first album in 1973 before going on to win 3 Grammys. That's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching the news this week on Spectrum Television, a recap of our major stories. My name is Uyai Anek, and thanks for watching, and once again, a very happy new year to you.